You should never get married. In 2023, guys, unfortunately for us men, the marriage laws are not in our favor. Look at famous celebrities like Tyrese, Dr. Dre, Jeff Bezos, guys who have made it with plenty of money and suffered greatly through a divorce. Guys, 50% of my money I cannot afford to give away through a divorce. I refuse to give away through a divorce. And I think until marriage laws change, there's no incentive for men to get married. And if a woman truly loves you, she doesn't need you to marry her through the state. You can take care of her, provide for her, but if there's a greater risk for you to do this, then you should not do it.
Ladies, how do you feel about this idea that there's no incentive for men to get married? Of course, Jeff Bezos, the celebrities are one-offs, right? But for your average man, average meaning making not millions upon millions of dollars, right? Let's just level set. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like your man still needs to marry you to solidify the relationship? If he can provide for you financially, emotionally, do you need that piece of paper? What are your thoughts?
Here's why you should never
Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the In the Zone podcast. It is your boy, B. Foster. Brian Foster's back in the building. Happy fall. First Wednesday of fall. Maybe the second Wednesday. Shit, it don't matter. It's going to get a little chillier than... about to get a little chillier than it was before. That's how
clearly not today. It was 86.
Fall. You better embrace that mug today, because I don't know when the next one's going to be. Sean, what's happening, baby?
I'm scared of this show. I'm not going to lie to y'all. But...
Why you scared? Don't be scared.
It's quite the motley crew.
Don't be scared.
Quite the motley crew. Plus, I don't think I'm going to have a whole lot to add to this conversation. I don't. I'm here to ask the questions that the people want to know. That's all I'm here for.
Okay.
Because what am I going to say about marriage benefiting me?
Okay, remember that.
I don't.
Remember that. Remember that stance when we get to the conversation.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be bringing it back up. I'll be bringing it back up. Anyway, hey, y'all, thanks for joining us again. Welcome to another episode. As I said, we appreciate you tuning in every week. I want to introduce my guests real quick. These are not newbies. You've seen all these gentlemen on several shows. And if you are cool with me, you've seen these gentlemen in a million different spaces outside this show. But on my right, your left, my man 50 Grand. He hasn't been on in a while.
It's been a couple of years.
I've been saving him.
Yeah. You only had him for the serious shows. Now
I've been saving him. Mike wanted to save the world, and I wanted to help him do it. But now I want him to talk about some other shit. My boy Mike Saunders. What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's happening, y'all? This one right here.
What? I didn't even do nothing yet.
The yet part.
The yet part. We already know. We already know. On my left, your right, far on the other end, the main moderator of the A Lot podcast. You have seen him here on several occasions. Always a pleasure to have my man here. J-Vo, what's happening, baby?
Hey, man, pleasure. I love it when I get the invite because I know we're going to have a good time.
Always.
Very true.
Then on the stream, you know him, you love him. He stay in the comments. He's
our favorite troll.
He is the troll of all troll masters.
He's
the Frodo of trolls. This is my man. My frat brother, U of I's own Jamal. What's going on, baby?
What up, good people? I'm here to champion all things married, team married for 25 plus years, same woman, 32. Let's go. I'm in the game.
Salute to that. I will salute and clap to that. She obviously picked your shirt out this morning.
Obviously. hey, what is
Baby,
that?
you gonna look good on the show in this shirt.
Is that peach or pink?
It's definitely pink.
That is a fucking meme. I mean, that's a meme. We can
God, you can cuss on here.
Yeah, that's a meme. Jake, we be scrolling through the memes and bro don't show up in the... But we got to protect you in the zone, though.
Yeah, that's right. Not on the podcast, though. So, we gonna jump right on in, man. Hey, thank you again, everybody, for joining us. So, anybody tuning in that does not know what the topic of the day is, so if you remember this, about a year ago, almost a year to the day, we had 3 ladies on here, and we broke down, not including Chantel, obviously, discussing marriage and was it beneficial for women. And if you watched, my wife was on here arguing that there was no benefit to marriage for
Oh,
women.
she sure did. I forgot about that.
Man, Allie went crazy like that.
Allie was breaking it down.
Wow.
Had a couple of points too.
Yeah, had a couple of good points.
I was like, oh.
And yet,
Did it hurt? Did it sting?
yet pulled her. So, so I mean, which and ever. So we can't not have given the brothers an opportunity to come back and share their thoughts on whether or not marriage is beneficial for men.
We went a
A
whole
year
year.
later, huh?
Yeah. I gave it time to
A year
marinate.
later, huh?
I gave it time to marinate. So we have obviously Jamal, who said he is championing marriage, married 25 years.
Wait, after hearing that intro, though,
Bro.
I might
Just-
change
that's
my
cold.
mind. I don't even like the way they was talking about. Now that you reminded me of the previous show, I might have to
Remember that
change.
show?
Oh my goodness, there he goes.
And really quick, because a new person just
Oh,
popped
got a new
up.
person.
We have one more person, not part of the old hacks that's been on the show. We do have one virgin to the In the Zone podcast. We always have one virgin
She
on
was
the
a
show.
lot of,
This is D, who also is married. Now, I don't know if he's going to be as big of a champion as Jamal, but I guess we will see. What up?
What up? What up? What's happening with y'all?
What's going on, D brother? Welcome to the show. We like busting cherries up in here.
Jesus.
Hey, bucket. Let's go.
Ooh, well,
I hope you're ready.
There you go. Let's keep it past. So we got two married gentlemen. We have Mike, who is speaking for the divorced gentleman in the pound, and then we got J-Bo, who
I'm not
so
married.
far been single for life. So we're gonna see what are the advantages, disadvantages, and see what all these divergent opinions have with the brothers in the room. And I will represent the brothers that failed twice. So I got taken down twice.
Not twice.
Take it down.
oh my
So let's start here. I want everybody to take a minute. With this group, I be that a minute,
Probably.
and tell me your story. I'm gonna start with Jamal. See how brief you can keep it. How you met your wife? What made you fall in love? And what made you want to get married, brother?
The shirt is gonna keep him succinct.
Let's hope.
It was a cold winter, stormy night. But now, man, listen. I knew when I was a child that I wanted to be a father. I was kind of disappointed with how my dad fathered me, and so I was really geeked about improving what he had set as a standard. And so when I got to college, I had already set my mind, my junior year, I'm going to find my wife, and she's going to be a freshman, a little gullible, but she's going to be on point. You know what I'm saying? They got to fool them, right? My whole goal was to outkick my coverage. The rule was everybody's going to ask me, man, why is she with you? That had to be the question when I walked in with my wife, right?
That was the bar.
That's the bar, right?
Gotcha.
And so I'm doing my thing at the U of I. I get a little credibility. You know, I'm a little live. I'm not the livest dude on the yard. I'm pretty decent. And so opportunities are flying. And I meet a young cutie who happened to be a freshman. I'm just getting online. She's taking care of me when I'm getting beaten and bruised and pale and the whole piece. And so as soon as I get done pledging, I'm like, you got to go. It's time for me to, flex my feathers, spread my wings. And she said no. And the way she said no showed me she had just the right amount of crazy in her that I could be down with that, right? And I've been with her ever since, bro.
What year was that, bro?
That was 92 that I got locked in. 3 of 92.
92.
Hey,
That's
dog, for real. Salute to you, dog. Seriously.
Right.
That's tough, G.
And I got lucky. I'm not gonna front. This marriage thing is hard, but I found a champion. And here's the piece, man. The essence of it, you want to marry your best friend, right? You want to marry the person you could just kick it with, and then also there's this opportunity for sex. So, man, when I found gold, yeah, it was like, look, this the one. I'm in.
Hey, he got a good one too. I can't even front him. D, what's your story, my man?
Well, hey, so Jamal started off with a cold winter day. Mine started off with a hot summer night, right? No, I'm just playing. But real talk, I actually met my wife from work. And so she was like an old friend that wasn't really a friend, but was a friend, right? And so for me, kind of like Jamal, I went to college, did my pledging, got my own crib early off when I was like, I don't know, 25. I thought I was a man. So, hey, I was just all about just living life, being me, doing what I do, and seeing who want to deal with me. So, I live life just like Jamal. Hey, I was out here in the streets, then I wanted to settle down, start getting older. I was like, hey, I'm starting to hit 30s. I think I better start getting a little bit serious about it. I started getting a little bit into health. My wife tricked me, right? Because I was.
We got married. They all tricked us.
Yeah, they tricked me, right? She straight tricked me. My place is actually in Bronzeville, right off of 39th Street, right by the lakefront. So I'm out there getting my jog on the lakefront. She comes over and says, "Oh, hey," off of LinkedIn, like, "Hey, I ain't seen you in a while. What's up?" I'm like, "I'm good." So she like, "Hey, you still working out?" I just happened to. Yeah, I just started back. Can I work out with you? Right? So, she came over. Needless to say, she had on some, I don't know, this was when leggings first got popular, but I thought they were see-through, right? And my wife is endowed in the backside. So, hey, she got me with all that jogging and gyrating, and my mind went like that. And next thing I know, we was kissing on a rock, and boom. She was like, "What's this? You want to get married?" And I was like, "Not really right now." But, years later, about 2-3 years later, boom, we married. So there it is in a nutshell.
Can I say
No, you're not supposed to be saying nothing, remember?
How fucking terrible these stories
No,
have been
you're not supposed to be talking.
far?
You're not supposed to be talking.
It was
The
the
worst.
leggings, right?
You're supposed to be
I
talking.
didn't say I wasn't going to say shit.
The leggings took it over the.
These are terrible stories.
Oh, yeah, we
All
know.
right.
Probably at the point. I already know what you're talking about. Mike.
Hey, before I cut off, though, to make a comment, I actually know, this young lady on the show, and she actually got a killer walk, too. So she got this particular walk that all y'all know I'm doing. And she's doing it, right? So everybody got that move that they got, right?
For 21 years, yo.
Okay, hold on. Reel it back in.
I ain't playing with you either.
Reel it back in.
Next.
Yeah, all right, keep moving. I'm sorry.
That's gonna. Hey, I'm gonna make that a little reel later, Mike.
Okay. So, which part? There's two parts.
Mike would be who?
He's a
I'm
divorce.
divorced.
He's divorced.
Okay.
So
which part you want?
short
I made
version
my
of met and why it fell apart, if you willing to share.
Okay, so met my wife. There should be this spot on 71st in Michigan. It's no longer there. It's called Rodney. So Devontae Stone, the Stone Pony, we used to do ladies' night on Thursdays, and my wife was managing a crew of models, and so they just came out on the humbug. They're from the suburbs, whatever. So it's like 10 extremely nice looking ladies that walk in, and she's like the ringleader. So the guy who was running that particular night as a promoter and kind of like the gatekeeper was like, "Yo, I want you to meet somebody." Had just moved back to Chicago after being in Kansas City for like probably, I don't know, like 15, 20 years in the military. And man, it was just like, we just clicked. So that was
Around
like,
what year was this?
oh man, I wanted to be, I had to say I moved back here in 98. So that was like in the fall of 98.
Okay.
And then I was here in the fall of 98. So that was in the fall of 2000.
Okay.
Because we got married September 14th of 2001, which was a couple days after September 11th. I was in the military, so I thought, I was going to have to get called back in. So for me, and Brian and Chantel have known me for a really long time, it was just about being in a good spiritual space, being covered, kind of like what the brothers are saying that they're married. So we do it for that reason in that moment. But I can vividly remember I'm 30 years old.
Here we go.
And so it's like, you don't know what the body of work is that it takes to keep a marriage. Yep. So we're like, Mr. Perry, we like, if I had Mr. Perry like 3 to 5 years before,
Prior.
yeah, then it would be a different outcome. And so for me, it was just like, man, I just kind of knew that this was the person for me at that particular time in my life. Minister, blah, 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 just kind of had a different energy, and it worked for me. So that I'm very comfortable with that. I have this saying, I didn't ask for permission to get married to anyone. So I didn't ask for permission to get divorced. Like, it's just really simple in the context of that.
Was that you or her?
No, it was me. Like, dead ass. It was me. I filed. Yeah. So out of that marriage came 2 wonderful kids that are doing fantastic. And then the why we got divorced, it was really easy for me in the context of I just didn't have any space for my peace.
Right.
Peace means everything to me. And so once the peace is gone, I wasn't spiritually equipped to kind of retrieve it, rebuild it, whatever the term is. I just was like, man, I'm out. And it wasn't a flight thing. It was just literally like, I'm not rocking with this. I can't rest at home. And we all know how important it is. And so then she's a public person. I'm beginning my public Chicago career in whatever space I'm in. And I just didn't have peace at home. So I was like, man, I'm out.
As a military kid, I can totally understand.
Yeah, so you're going to
everything.
Yeah, peace is everything. So, and I know the married guys understand that. Jamal is wearing his piece on his chest, and we love it.
Yes. Hey, it's matching the core at the back. The shit is beautiful. I swear to God, like.
and man, I used to have to wear the dad shirts and shit, so I get it. And so
day.
yeah, but spiritually, I just wanted my peace.
Right.
That's a much better story than you two. I don't know what happened over there.
The bros, though. I'm just
I'm here for the shits.
No, you ain't here for the shits. They told you some very warm type things. You don't think men have warm type understandings?
You know it's your turn, right? You know it's your turn.
So the audience, like, we have such a deep-rooted relationship. So yeah, this is not gonna be a normal podcast.
So let Javen. Now we know you haven't been married. You haven't been married. So I guess the question for Javen would be, why?
Why not?
Why not? Well, no. Why? Why isn't he married? Yeah. Why?
Yeah, I guess.
Why aren't I married?
Yeah, and have you been close? I think that's an interesting point. Have you gotten to a place where you thought about it?
Let's start with that first.
Well, you know what? Counter to understanding, I always think about marriage.
Wow.
I always have. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who knows me knows I'm a very personable person. You know what I'm saying? If you got personality to match that, we go thrive. Problem that I have seen, maybe just with myself, is that when the attention is not focused on the person, on this other person, it builds a sense of resentment to me. And I'm a Cancer. I can pick that shit up like anything. You know what I'm saying? I can feel it. And it's like, I'm straight on that. From what my experiences personally, I probably have fumbled maybe about 3 people. Easy.
And that's a real statement right there, because you just kind of know when you fumble. So even for myself, if I could have made it to like 35 and had one of those real backdoor barbershop conversations, and there's a backstory to that, but we have a person that we could really go to, but I didn't know how to receive that.
Exactly.
So it's like if the 3 of us are raising each other, but we don't have the wisdom piece and the spiritual piece. I didn't get that till I was like 45.
I sat there and have said like let's say 2 out of the 3 people, I just said fumble, whatever. My better understanding now knows better how to deal with the situation that came about in said fumble. You know what I mean? Going forward though, that aids in me, non-marriage, this or that, and looking at ladies in a different aspect. Seriously. Especially now. I wish I had actually put... No.
Now read the comments.
Who is this? Fuck you.
That mug is crazy as hell.
In the demo now, like, I wish I had paid more attention to 5 years in the future than
we live in
what was going on in that moment. You know what I'm saying? Because this is horrible.
Jesus Christ.
No, this shit is trash bag with extra bullshit on top of it. I'd rather not. I was happy there, and I fucked that up 3 times.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what? I can appreciate that. That was
Look
some
at that.
introspection.
I'm giving you jewels the last 2 days.
Impresses me every time I interact with him. I'm always impressed with him.
Great.
All right.
That's what she said when I said he's gonna be on the show. But I like how you.
Now what about you?
She told us when we walked in.
I know, but she told us already
I
what
thought
it
this
was.
was a fucking
Like,
flaming hot garbage of a show, but I'm okay with that. B.
What about? We got too many voices. We don't need mine today.
All right.
So I want to go back to. No, we don't. We don't need
skirted
today.
that shit.
No, we got 4 people. We got 4 gentlemen. They don't even talk about this shit. I want to ask. So clearly, if you look at the statistics, there are all these supposed advantages from getting married. They live longer. They make more money. Their health is better. They have less chance for cancer. Like all these things, these advantages, right? That statistically are supposedly great for men. I made the point on the other show that while these things may be true, we might live longer. We might make more money. We might have these other advantages. The rationale behind those advantages don't necessarily add up to our favor. Should we live longer? Because you won't let us have no motherfucking fun. Should we make more money? Because you spend more on my shit. I'm just giving you the counterpoints. So I want to ask the married brothers. That's why I got your bald head shaking. This is why I do this. This is why I do this.
Hey, he clapping.
Jamal, what are the advantages to being married? Let me rephrase that. What did you think?
Wives are cure cancer.
No,
Damn right. Yep.
Wives keep you from certain activities that will give you particular forms
Like
of cancer,
eating all
like
that goddamn meat.
smoking and bullshit like that. Anyway, Jamal, what did you think marriage was going to be? The advantages were going to be, and has that played out?
So I saw the partnership of my parents as a kid, and so I knew that I was going to have an ace, one person I could count on hands down to sort of be in my vision, having the same vision as me. What I didn't know was all the other advantages that come with it, like even that health piece. Like y'all heard, and I'm a vegan. I'm proud of being a vegan, but I would not be a vegan if it wasn't for my wife. Let's just be clear. That wasn't even on my landscape. No way I was thinking about it. So even that longevity piece, right? I know I'm going to be healthier. I go to the doctor. I get checkups. I'm single. I'm not doing that. Like right now, I got a bad wrist. I'm going to the doctor in the morning. I wouldn't do any of those things without a wife in my ear saying, hey man, go get that checked out. So the health benefits real. The financial piece, bruh. So I sort of figured I'm gonna be okay. I didn't know I was marrying Tycoon Shayla over here. I got these entrepreneurial dreams. She makes them all come true. Like I got great ideas. I call it a hedgehog. She puts her head down. We get to work. All my ideas come true because she's here. They don't come true without her. And I completely understand that I married a superstar, right? Like not everybody finds the right person, but I easily found the right person. She's like the yin to my yang, and together the synergy is phenomenal. And then there's this part about parenting, right? So I wanted to be a parent. And I wanted to have, great children. So I knew that the partner had to be pretty great. And she is. My children were outstanding. I got to be a father. We talk about, like I was talking about being a vegan. When you talk to non-vegans, they say, oh, I'm never giving up meat. But you know what? Like 50% of the meat you eat is bullshit. Like if you went and got some Harold's, it ain't even cooked right. But if I ask you about meat, you tell me about that one great chicken that you had the one time. This happens with the single dating, right? It's that one girl that one time, but most of the chicks you end up hanging out with ain't people you want to wake up with. So I wake up with a stud, man, and she's fire, and all those benefits are real: health, finances, quality of life, emotional support. Like the funny thing is I've never lived by myself. I went from living with my parents, coming to college with some roommates, living with frat brothers, to living with Shayla. I've never been alone. I'd be a wreck. If I didn't have this, I don't know what the hell I'd be a problem out there. So, nah, man. Marriage, all the benefits are real. Grab them, enjoy, but you got to do it right. Like brother was saying, if you do it wrong, you lose your peace. Nah, this person makes sure I have peace, puts it in my life, right? So, yeah, bro. Nah, easy. All the things are true and it's well worthwhile.
You're going to have to die first.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. Javen shoot at least one of them at him, Javen, real quick. You said you had a question.
Hey, so when I'm just curious, You know what I'm saying? On the side of like your health and regular things that should already be an understanding on the adult side. I'm a man as well, and I agree. We put a lot of things to the back burner, you know what I'm saying? And need that person to remind this or that or whatever. And I hear you on that. But would you have still done that? Would you have still got whatever it is looked at, taken care of, maybe not in the same time frame per se, but I'm not diminishing the effort, energy, consideration that your wife put in, but that's not kind of adult thing.
Yeah, would you like so Jamal? Right now, you say your wrist is hurting. How far would it have taken you? Like, would it be damn having to fall off, have gangrene before you went to the doctor?
That's any man.
Jamal. Just to
even the engineers are shaking their heads.
Just to preface slightly. You said you have never not been and lived around with people. I have. I have never lived with a woman. Wow. I was in the service and I had my gun with me. That's it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have no problem with that understanding. So does that contribute to? Well, you know what I'm saying? I need these little pushes, these little nudges. I'm not knocking against it. I'm not knocking against it. You know what I'm saying? For real, all respect. You know what I mean?
So the piece is this. I can only speak for myself, but I know when I was looking to create the family, I saw myself as the head coach. I saw my wife as the star player, and I knew my kids would be the role players. Right? So that's the team. And as the head coach, you get
Phil
really
Jackson,
fixated.
Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen.
You get fixated on the big picture, right? So these little small things will always have gotten pushed to the side for me to be the dad and the husband to others and make sure they're taken care of. When you get a good wife, there's an intentionality there where she's intentional about me, right? Like she's really staring at me when I'm not looking at me because I'm looking at us. And so, man, I say this about her all the time. She's like the biggest fan of Team Atuka. Any one of us, from me to my kids, she's all about us. And she's staring. And so when those little small things pick up, she catches it way before it's a big issue. Like it's getting handled early. So, yeah, man, I think I'm smart enough that I would have taken care of some things sooner or later.
No,
would I become vegan?
No.
Would I really watch my diet later? I mean, I've always worked out, right? So, I mean, yeah, I feel you on that. But I think the addition of somebody who's really about you really helps you stay on top of things. And there becomes this intention that, hey, as a matter of fact, my biggest fear is losing her, right? Not losing her like to another man or something, but us dying. Because it's death do we part. And that's the only thing that's going to separate this. So now we're like, hey, look, you're not eating right. And you're drinking a little too much. What's going on? We need to slow down and rethink. So we're really on each other about quality of life. Even this mobility piece. Like we've had some elders in our family who got wheelchair bound and needed walkers and not us.
Take it over the show. Sit your ass
I did. No, fam. I appreciate everything you said, and I'm gonna take that in because 25 years in, you telling me straight off experience or whatever. Again, like I said, I've never even lived with a woman. You know what I'm saying? The things that you saying or whatever, with working knowledge, I appreciate.
I'm gonna need you to stay in the guest place.
D, let's get you back in here, brother.
I did.
It's been a minute, so I will restate the question. When you got married, you had expectations. You thought you'd get certain benefits. Have those things come to fruition the way you thought they would?
So I guess my answer is going to be yes and no. Part of that is yes, because I had certain expectations, and I guess it kind of coincides with what Jamal was saying, but mine goes like health, and mental, right? So health-wise, I mean, hey, I always thought we was going to continue to jog and do this and do that, but the reality of the situation is as you get older, your body's just going to change. But, I mean, the missus do cook a lot. I would say probably 85% of what we eat But she's trying to like go to Whole Foods, trying to clean something. Hey, we're gonna stop eating red meat. We're gonna eat, turkey and fish. So I'm probably a lot more healthier than what I probably would have been if I was by myself. So I probably just eat a bunch of junk food and probably be like 20, 30 pounds heavy, right? And as you get older, we know that your health declines with more weight, and you have other different situations with that. Financially, I think everybody's a little bit better off when you live together, right? You don't have to split. You don't have to have 2 separate cable bills. You don't have to have 2 mortgages. You got everything kind of in the house. So one, you should be able to pivot, save, put stuff in 401k, talk about what your future is going to entail and do that, right? But I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the mental part, which is where I think a lot of us break down, especially from the men's side. People, especially men, don't deal with like childhood traumas, and things are very situational. So what I mean by that is, if I live a certain type of life, when I came up, my wife lived another type of life, we're going to have friction. And a lot of that is when people say, oh, we're going to communicate. We're going to have great communication. Nah, people don't have great communication. You end up, going your separate ways, or you end up, getting defensive or whatever else is the situation. So my real jewel for me has really trying to be a life partner to my wife. And when I say partner, I'm saying partner in all type of ways. So that's why I found my real treasure, because that's my real companion. And my companion is somebody you can travel the world with, somebody you ain't got to wake up to a different, somebody in your bed, different, every time you turn around, it's a different person, but the same person at the same time. Same type of issues keep coming up, but it's a different person in your bed or wherever you at in your house. That's a problem. When you got somebody that's a real companion, that's going to ride for you, kind of like what Jamal was saying, somebody you're going to have to work out a lot of those differences, a lot of those situations that cause friction in your peace. Once you're able to kind of start working those things out, talk about stuff. I grew up in a time my mom, she ain't talk about stuff that happened back in the day, and I still don't know half the stuff that happened back in the day. But when people talk about stuff in the past and kind of start comparing, you start to figure out like, oh, that's why you act like that. Hey, just because you grew up like that don't make it right. So I really had to back up a lot of times. She had to back up a lot of times. We had to meet in the middle so we can have peace. So back to what the brother was saying earlier, I do believe that you get a lot of health. You do get a lot of wealth. And for me, it's a lot about your mental stability too. So I think for me, those are the real jewels that you get from being married.
You don't get to ask no questions.
Damn it, you
no,
will be a guest.
Right? You don't get to ask no questions.
Sorry.
I love it. I love that James is soaking in his wisdom. Now, go on, Sean. You got something to say.
I don't have nothing to say other than Javen be a damn guest.
Hey, good points, brothers. I appreciate you all bringing that up. I want to flip that coin on his head, and I want to talk to the single brothers. We've got
single brothers.
Don't do that. We've got some jewels from the married cats about the advantages to being married, which I wholeheartedly as a married man agree with. But there's a flip side to that coin.
Well,
Single brothers, is single life better? Let's keep it a buck. And if so, why?
Well, you can't be talking to those two.
I'm talking to you two.
And you can't be talking to him. He's experienced marriage life.
He's seen both sides
twice.
of the coin, so I want to see what he.
No, he hasn't done it twice.
No, just
aware
once.
of.
No, once. I've done it twice.
That's
me. So I'm gonna give it to Mike first. You've been on both sides of the coin.
This dude. So, man.
And you got divorced how long ago?
Oh, man, it's been like 15 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you clearly haven't. Fools don't rush in. So.
Yeah. That's interesting. So, I was literally just like taking a couple of notes. So, I think the benefit for me individually in my single space is I get to control my peace. So, Jamal and D were talking about the partnership thing. So, there are days, like I just had a couple of days where I'm just literally focused on me. And so, from a peace perspective, that's really important. But then there are other days like I'm supposed to be with Dave Chappelle right now. It's like I don't have nobody to go with, so I'm here with y'all. And then it's like for this whole week, that's that public space. Mm-hmm. And so it's like I was talking to one of the homies, And he was like, man, I'm going tonight to take care of business, but then I'm going to go on Friday with my wife. So it's like I constantly have to figure out who I can trust in that space. And so I can speak specifically to the four of us, with us being at least Chicago public people. The trust game, I don't have anybody that I can trust at that level to walk them into a Dave Chappelle space or whatever space. And then the last part of that for me is like, if I say I know Brian Foster and I know Javen, I know Sean, I know Dave Chappelle, those are all the same people to me. But to the public, it's like, oh my God. So what happens is I literally retreat to like my safest spaces. So right now for me, at 53, my safest spaces are with my guys in Kansas City or my guys in the cigar space, you know, that my OGs. So I have a bunch of OGs. So it becomes difficult because people approach you and then it becomes like, what are you on kind of energy. And most importantly, I grew up in an era without social media. So I know how to read spirits. And so the social media thing, I don't really get to. I don't even deal with that. And you know how I'm like, I'll give you my phone number, like pull up. So the other side of it is just, you're sacrificing peace and trust when you don't have a partner. You have to try to find that sweet balance. And then because I'm a public person, I'm always meeting people. It's like, what do you want? And I literally have to have constant conversation about, I'm not name dropping, this is like what I've done for 30 years. So that's the hard part for me. So how do I navigate that? I navigate it really easy. I stay connected to the people that really genuinely know me and people that, you know, for lack of a better term, they fuck with me. And then I have a group of solid men, including these two guys at the table, that I just can reach out to, even if it's randomly, about shit that's on my mind. Very, very last part. Mental health is so critical right now, especially as you elevate into and you mature or whatever. And so that thing gets swept under the rug. And so I find a way to kind of make sure I'm checking in with folks. Yeah, and when you have a partner, you can kind of check in and they can push you into that space.
I just want to point out that he compared us to Dave Chappelle. That's all I.
That
was my biggest takeaway from what he said.
No, but
he's right.
I didn't study shit.
We on Dave Chappelle level? Okay.
I wish I had Dave Chappelle money to share that.
I'll say this on the flip of what he said. Because I would love to just jump in and it'd be like, can do it. Everything he said, for the most part, 98% is absolutely correct. You know what I'm saying? As one who has not been through a divorce, this or that or whatever, the understanding doesn't actually really change like that. You know what I'm saying? It really doesn't. We try to adjust it to how society interprets how that looks like. You know what I'm saying?
Constantly moving.
I saw a video today that had it had a guy and a girl on there, and the girl was telling the guy how those quick bonds that men form,
Trauma
you know
bonds.
what I'm saying? No, not even trauma. No, quick bonds, whether it's football, whether it's sports.
Got you.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
That we connect so
You know what I'm
quickly.
saying? Are not really anything because you don't know their deeper understanding. And see, don't need it. Don't need it. I've known Mike for about 12 years. I've known him more than I would like to. See, because y'all know the early, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But that quick understanding, just on the male side, breeds more understanding. Ladies don't like that shit.
Don't like what?
Ladies like to defend ladies, but ladies don't really like ladies.
Ooh, that's
You know that's not a topic, right?
That's a whole
That's
other
not
show.
the topic of
That's
the
a
show.
whole other show. That's a whole other show. But I get where you're going with it. So let me.
I know that totally.
I do get where you're
Just
going with that.
saying.
So let me ask this. Because neither one of you really answered this question.
We did.
They did not.
No, what's up?
I was wondering if he was going
Is
for
single
about
life
marriage, right?
better? It sounded like Mike kind of answered it without answering.
No, I answered it in this way. So we're in a social media age, so it depends on what filter you see it from.
Mm-hmm.
So 90% of the time is really good for me because I'm at peace. But then there's the 10%, I'll go 80-20. So like,
Okay, percentages. I like this.
yeah, so like I'm supposed to go to like the Urban League Gala, and then so it's like I don't even have a space where I'm like comfortable presenting at that level that matches what I have to present. So then if I'm sitting at the table at the Urban League Gala single, I post pictures and things like that, then it's the other things that come with it. You didn't invite me, and it's all of that.
Coming single from somebody who's already been married and divorced.
Oh no, I'm not with the bullshit. If you impact my peace, hey man.
Me and your understanding would be. I only say that because me and your understanding would be totally different. I don't have that part in that.
Coming the night that we did your Palooza party at Society,
right?
And we had the beach party.
I did not have one there, but go.
No, we had a zone beach party.
Oh, a zone. Oh, the day after.
No, it was the same day,
but
it was just yeah. I had to put
We'll talk false.
No, but hold on. Seriously, this is a real story. I had to put someone out of my vehicle on the highway leaving his
you told me that,
Yeah, because they were upset because when I walked in, this is a dress-up party. We're a society. I come in off the beach. We started kicking it, and then so this woman like literally muffed me, and so my man is in the back saying, "You can't do anything, Mike." And I'm like, so I just literally put her out on the highway. She wouldn't get out, so I had to leave the car. And I called him like, "Bro, this is literally just happened."
Facts.
So I fight having to be the public Mike versus the peaceful Mike, the back of the barbershop Mike, sitting in the backyard on your fire pit. I don't get those moments anymore. Like that shit is like it doesn't exist most of the time.
But what's tougher for you? You dealt with a marriage. If I could do the math,
I prefer
even
the marriage. I prefer the
4
marriage.
years and
that's
to
what
the single understanding.
No, I prefer the marriage, and then I prefer that for the context of not sacrificing what my kids went through as children of divorce. Number one, and then Jamal touched on it earlier. You know your roles. So at 30, I wasn't able to coach a Michael Jordan, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because I just didn't have the bandwidth.
Right.
Like I wasn't there.
Right.
And I
35 probably.
Yeah, and then to Dee's point, what you're seeing, like, so I didn't know my step-parents who raised me, they were the ideal couple, but my birth parents weren't that. And so I didn't find out till like 4 years ago that my stepdad how that works. So I'm 49 when I find that out.
See, I'm only asking you and any other man. I've never lived with a woman. I'm 44 years old. Bro. I have kids. I have baby mamas. We've never lived together. Okay? Never. It's never been my issue to not do it. I've always said, hey.
No, I didn't put my wife out on the highway.
Say it again.
Somebody said that I put my wife.
Was it his wife? Wasn't his wife?
No, it was a random date chick.
Why y'all be going so extreme with some old other shit, dog? What the fuck is you talking about, dog?
Stay focused.
So peaceful on the single side, having had the opposite experiences from Javen, but having a relationship with Javen and Brian allows me to exist peacefully in my single space.
I agree.
I get that.
No, I totally agree.
I get that.
That's why I sit here and try to listen to my older brothers about the experiences that we all, if you're a male, heterosexual male, deal with ladies, you're going to have. But maybe you haven't had what they have had because of their older experiences. You know what I'm saying? They have some insight to listen to. I've never in my life, Foster, lived with a woman. Never in my life. I've never actually even been in an apartment long enough to get. That's
wow, he just really. So this is gonna be fun asking him this next
question. Come get him back. Come on, brother.
So
hold on, I want let's get Jamal with D back.
Y'all have been married, divorced, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Jamal. I'm sorry, D. They're like, oh shit.
They're like, hey, they got to say they wives after the show. This is not my guy.
Not my man.
It's not my man.
Whose man is it? It's my man. I'm gonna claim him.
I'm gonna start with D.
Jamal, I love your shirt.
I'm gonna start with D. So, who really receives the most benefit in marriage, men or women?
Ooh, that's kind of hard. But I'm gonna like to say both, right? But I still think the ladies end up getting a lot more receiving out of the situation. I do believe that a lot of the money, or let me say it like this: my wife has an Amazon boxer every day. She's spending some money. It's coming out of somewhere. So I want to say that they do get a lot. Men get some type of support out of it too. But I did want to make one kind of comment real quick. And I have a lot of conversation with my pops a lot, right? My pops is like 65 years old, going on like close to 70. And one of his questions, I think, to like Javen's point was, he asked me, he said, well, look here, would you say that every 10 years you grow as a person? And what he basically meant is, in your 20s, you kicking it. In your 30s, you kind of start to settle down. In your 40s, you start to, really, connect with your wife, your kids, whatever else that you got going on. But he says, like, hey, 50, 60, 70 is a whole nother game. And he said a lot of times people don't realize it because you're not in that situation because you're not that old yet, right? But he was like, what happens when you get sick at 65, 70, you're in the hospital, you got no wife? He was like, it's just you. And you can say all you want. I got brothers, sisters, friends, but they all got other priorities too. And so he was like, then you kind of start realizing like, yo, I might have made a crucial mistake. So really, I'm going to back it back up to the first part of it is both of you guys need to benefit really at the end of the day. And you should have it very mutual. I will say there's a little yin and yang and it goes back and forth at certain periods in your life. And at this point in my life, I'm in my 40s. I say it's definitely leaning towards my wife, but I'm pretty sure like it moves back and forth and ebbs and flows. So you just got to be able to realize that life is a roller coaster, and so is marriage and relationships, whether it's your wife or friends or anybody, it's going to go up and down. So real life responsibility is recognizing that. So to me, that's real, just being real. That's my answer to that.
So first of all, her receiving Amazon boxes is not a benefit. I don't give a fuck what you're talking about.
If you're paying for it, it is.
Jamal, who benefits more, men or women, from marriage?
It's not even close. Women get the most benefit out of marriage. So here's what y'all got to understand. I think one of the brothers mentioned it already. Women don't even like women. Everybody love men. We make everything better. So like, yeah, I get the health benefits and we both benefit financially. But man, I've turned her life upside down. You know the reason any woman gets, they want that dude who takes them out, shows them how to have a good time, puts them under the limelight, and shines that light on them. Because by themselves, women, yeah, I think like you're already the perfect partner, but you need somebody to really emphasize and brighten up your space and make it right. And I think that's that yin and yang again. And no slight against women, but y'all need men. And right, it's why you put up with so much of our BS and you accept what we get. But women by far, because you get all the benefits that you say men get, right? And then you get a protector, you get a bag carrier, you get a door opener, you get you get garbage man, you get it all, man. So to even act like women ain't benefiting from marriage is straight crazy, which is why y'all push it, and then you snap off when it starts to go wrong because you about to lose a good thing. Women.
That's a whole different.
Wait, hold on. That don't matter. Hey, first of all, Jamal, let me just say, you should have seen the disappointment on Chantel's face when you said men. Women. She just knew you was gonna say men.
I'm trying to help you, bro.
Such high hopes for you,
she
Jamal.
Pushed me.
And I'm for sure disappointed beyond belief.
Tell me I'm lying.
I know, Jamal, you're done. You're done, Mike.
What's the question?
Who benefits more? Men or women?
Who do you think benefits more?
Oh man,
I'm not a man, and my opinion doesn't matter.
I didn't ask you if you were a man. Who do you think
we talking to Mike
benefits
right
more?
now, Jaden?
Mike.
Mike is right here.
Oh my goodness.
He like Mike.
I'm looking at Jamal. Son, who benefit? Whoa, fuck that. Time out. You spoke. B spoke. Jamal spoke.
You get last, homeboy.
No, I don't need to say shit. Sir, you've seen this shit more than anyone else. Who benefits more in marriage?
I'll get into it. Mike.
Ain't that a bitch?
You be a guest, goddammit.
Okay, so I would say
give him a fucking podcast.
Yeah, man. And a t-shirt. It's that damn drink. I would say, like, in my opinion, I think that women benefit the most if you think about it from a biblical construct. In today's society, I think that it becomes what is...
We're going to cut you off in a second.
It becomes who raised you and what you're looking for. So it's like a partnership. So it's like if you got 51% and I got 49, we got 100. But then that pivots, you know, depending on what it is. So
First I did.
if Jamal said it's till death does you part, or whatever the case may be. So I think if you're in it for the life game and not for the security or the trappings of it, I think both parties benefit.
Sure.
And most importantly, I think that your generational space benefits.
You on the pod, Mike. Can I ask you a question?
No, you can't answer shit.
Why did you get
It's our
divorced?
third-
No,
it's
why did you get divorced?
No, it's really easy.
You answer this question.
It's so simple, bro. Like, peace matters to me. When you've traveled my life path, if you've walked over the hot coals that I walk over, if I have to put ice on my own feet, I don't need you. And God hasn't got me to the point to where I can be like, okay, cool, I'm just going to let my feet cool off on my own. And that's okay, and I'm cool with that, right? But what I do know is that had I thought about it from a different filter,
Right.
I wasn't thinking about my kids. I was thinking about myself. So at that point, I was selfish. So I paid a ticket on that. And Brian, we talk about this all the time. So I think fundamentally, to answer the question, I think that women should benefit from the marriage because they have to carry the children, the loads, and blah, blah, blah. However, women will get a mutual benefit if they listen. And like Jamal said, you got to let the man coach. But if women want to coach and men want to get out the way, then it becomes a problem. And I was one of those guys that just got the fuck out the way. I'm just being honest.
I love your answer.
Sean, I want to ask you.
What?
No, wait. I know this is about us. However, this is a general question, and I know you have a response.
Oh, Tito is on this joint.
You already know. So Sean, do you think, as the only woman on the panel, who do you think benefits more?
I think it's no contest. I think everybody wins.
No. You got to pick one.
No, I don't. Cause who picked?
Jamal absolutely picked one.
And
Mike absolutely picked one.
But D said both of them.
51 to 49.
I think to D's point, it depends on what season in the relationship you're in, right?
In general.
So
I don't.
It's 4 seasons, right?
Young, old, and I guess normal. I don't know. But
I'm gonna let you do this, bro.
I think everybody benefits differently. I think you all have talked about the mental health. I think you all have talked about, partnership. I think for women, how you benefit in marriage. I think, and granted, I'm not married, so I'm hedging a total guess.
It's just your opinion.
And how you benefit is the caring for someone. For me, I enjoy the caring for him, and there's something.
Would you agree that's subjective?
No,
everything's subjective.
but I'm gonna give you an objective outcome.
You're just not gonna let me answer this question,
Javen.
You aren't. You're doing your best to not answer the question.
But Javen,
Are you
listen.
sure?
Javen, listen to this. Javen, let me say this because you just made me think about something, and Jamal touched on it earlier. Women benefit from the totality of the marriage, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with that.
I like it.
I'm using it as a biblical baseline. But Jamal said something that just made me think about it. He talked about the entrepreneurial thing and blah blah blah. So I'm going to speak very specifically to this. As a black man, in my life space as an entrepreneur and whatever people think of me publicly, I miss what's absent is patience and understanding for me because you're as a black man you stay in the grind, and so when I come to the crib, it's empty. There's not a woman's spirit in the house. So I'm looking for the next fucking thing to do, so I don't rest. And a good friend of mine today is like, bro, when do you sleep? So I say that to say that I literally would give it this measurement because we're into data. I would give it 60% women benefit, so more women benefit, but then the 40% is what's necessary for a man to have to drive that marriage benefit, and then the children benefit 100%. That's my answer.
He said that can't just do my.
We haven't got to you yet, so do your thing.
I think I'll answer the question. I can barely answer the question.
He can tell me who he thinks benefits more.
80% women benefit from a marriage compared to the 100% pie.
Mm-hmm.
If things are well, even if you don't like this motherfucker in front of you,
Why I gotta be?
if things are well, if things are well with the children, they should always be 100%. Has nothing to do with one to the other. I don't.
He did. I was gonna let it go, man. You know, did he growl? Oh shit!
Oh my God, he growled at her. Y'all.
Grrr.
You know the one thing I love your whole answer, Mike.
And let me say this,
answer.
right? And let me say this,
Please.
if y'all
I'm
don't,
still gonna say what I'm
those
about
of
to
you
say.
that do not know me in the thread, I'm gonna say it very simply. My beliefs are very solid. I'm very comfortable. We can meet at a cigar lounge and have a drink and a
talk
cigar.
about it.
Yeah,
I
but
agree.
but my biblical belief is that from my experience and my divorce and what I know about the failure of my marriage and my relationships, because we're never going to talk about what we lost. We're going to talk about what we won.
So you've been through it.
Yeah, so
okay.
So I have a friend that says, "Man, I won 7 Grammys, but we don't talk about the 13 that we lost." So I'm about talking about the failures. So my failure space is this: if I had patience and understanding at a time, and if I had some wisdom space at that time, I wouldn't be sitting here as a divorce guy, and I'm okay saying that. And that's all I'm saying. So when Chantel said what she said, and when Jamal said what he said, it just made me think about it. If he's Phil Jackson, he still has to have a Michael Jordan, or there's no 6 rings. That shit doesn't
I didn't hear you. What happened?
Lord Jesus.
I love this nigga Mike.
But I'm
I
just saying,
called
so,
this shit
Because he's putting this shit
on the text message.
He's putting this shit on.
That Jamal would be
Flat out.
not Jamal. What's your name? Jamie would
whatever
be
Happy
drunk. That's
Daniel
fine.
just said, 90% of men who are millionaires, I have a ton of millionaire friends, and they have a solid women. My guys that are single,
Flat out.
my guys that are single.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my guys, and we measure success by money we have in the bank and the things we obtain. But black men were not coached and trained all the time to obtain our wives and our marriage and our children. And I'm okay saying that. If you don't like me, I can put my phone number in the chat. I'm being real though.
No, I know you are, Saunders.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, no, I've never not known Mike
Hey, Stephanie,
Saunders
hand
in-
claps, baby.
in the
David.
15 years of knowing him not to be legit.
Jay, let me answer the question that you asked me, because you said I've been quiet.
That's why I never answered, but I digress.
I'm letting everybody have their moment because it's not about me today, it's about you guys. But I will answer this very succinctly and very quickly. Marriage benefits women more because women want to be married more.
The math.
Done.
Okay. I do you one better.
Done.
I do you one better, Brian.
Somebody get Javen some water.
Now, get more liquor.
No, please.
I hate you.
Women would prefer marriage more with a man because that is the essence of security. They only divorce you when the security goes left. It doesn't matter what you think the security is.
That's real.
Doesn't matter if it's financial, emotional, spiritual, whatever it is, they will move the fuck around. You know what
To
I'm
find
saying?
that security.
To find that part. Why? Because it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with what is broadcast as what security actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Men have never. When
Jay,
I say never, whoa.
When
When I say never,
you're leading right into my next question.
when I say never, I'm speaking on more so on a 51-49 understand. Men don't give a fuck about all this or that because they already know I have to take care of home. When home changes, when you don't know how it changes, now things go a little left field. Men don't care about social media. Ladies do.
Well, I give a fuck about social media.
That's
I give a fuck about social media.
I mean,
I know what you're saying.
No.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
I don't even
Get
think
your drink,
that's
baby.
true.
Come on. Come on. We're not even gonna do
don't?
it. Come on. We're not even. No.
But that's another
spinning up.
topic.
That's spinning
You
up.
don't?
That's
I
spinning
never
up.
answered the question, by
That's
the way,
spinning
just
off.
FYI.
That's spinning off.
We
We
didn't
don't
answer
need. That
the
don't even matter. Don't matter.
Y'all-
Don't matter. Don't matter. Don't
it's
matter.
fine.
We
But
don't answer
Jay,
the question.
no,
I'm here
she
to
said
listen
she didn't
anyway.
answer
I
the
didn't answer the
question.
question.
So here's the spinoff, Javen. You just led me to this actually, and I'm
appreciate it.
gonna pass this to I'm gonna tag Jamal back in, and we're gonna go around a circle.
I love you, Jay.
Love you. Do men feel the same pressure to be married and stay married that women do? Jamal, not Javen. Jamal.
Oh my God.
No, that's an easy answer again, and the answer, of course, is no, man. And I get into an argument with our good brother Chris Levy all the time when we start assessing the dynamics of society and its constructs. Let's be clear: the marriage construct, though created by man, is made for women, right? Well, it was made by possessive men who wanted to own and have ownership of women. That's the initial bond of marriage, right? And it's manifested into this more equitable, almost equal piece. But society has been sexist since day one. Man's brute strength has made it where women had to become a second-class citizen, right? And so this whole aspect of marriage is nothing more than the result of it. However, the natural state of relationships where, women have to find one mate and then bear that child when they're at their most vulnerable, they need the mate to be there to help protect them during their time of vulnerability. Whereas men, with the multiplicity of our seed, our best strategy would be to just impregnate as many people as we can and then let the chips fall where they may, and whoever survives, survive. And, we'd have our longevity, because in the end is we're born, we procreate, we die, right? That's basically it. We've made a lot of man-made constructs in the middle of that to have mass distraction of the fact that we're going to die. But that's all that is distraction. So with that being said, there's no pressure on us men. I can procreate without getting married. This whole construct of marriage really, the benefit of it is the security of that woman. And I think one of the brothers said it real well. It's like, if the woman doesn't feel secure, well, that's what marriage does for them. Now, I don't know what it meant when it was first created, but now that marriage just means security. Like my brother said, I was married to Shayla way before we got married. We were 7 years together before we got married, right? The marriage was just I can't think of that word when it's just a triviality, right? It was just what we did. It was for everyone else to know that, hey, we're together, but we were together way before then. And so this whole marriage piece and who needs it, well, if my wife wants to have children and have those children taken care of, she needs to pick her husband well. And so she really had to do it right. Us men, we want that same thing, but we don't have that nurturing gene in us, and this society isn't cultivating it all the way. So we can go out and we'll make a couple babies and we'll watch and see how they do later. We might befriend them when they're old enough to talk. But the point is, by far, women have pressure to find that mate to help them have offspring. Whereas men, and we can have offspring and just be good.
Good shit. I hear you, brother. D, I want to bring you in on this. What do you think?
I'll say my previous past, right? I've always had, like, I'm not saying I just dated like the whole world or anything like that, but you dated any young lady for a while in your younger life, you eventually, if you date them long enough, gonna get the question, right? And I think every man know what that is. Like, what is this, right? And so basically, what that means is, like, hey, I ain't gonna date you forever. Like, we getting married. It does go into some of the security factions of it. It does go into some of the kid. If I'm gonna have a kid, like, what does that look like? With you, is it gonna be you? Is it gonna be somebody else? Are you gonna be my protector? So a lot of that, I think, just kind of amounts to that. But I definitely kind of agree with Jamal in this sense. I don't think that it's necessarily a man that's leading that. I do believe it's probably 100% led by women, because men would just always just be freelancers if we could, right? It's probably very select few of us that maybe be like 5% that really wants to get married in the beginning. But outside of that, we really get the question or pressure from the women, which have pressure to find a protector and everything else. So to me, the age-old question is like, what is this? So that's my answer to that question.
All right, I hear you. Mike, societally, and in your opinion, is there more pressure on us or women to get married?
Man, y'all not. Well, I don't know. I don't give a shit. So
no, you have to. You've been married before and
no.
divorced.
He doesn't give a shit about giving an answer.
So DJ Focus, I need some brown. I need you to come have a shot of brown liquor with
You
me.
on,
said
Focus,
that to
come on.
begin
No.
with. Hey, my nigga.
Hey, so it is. Yeah,
He's in the comments.
yeah, he's in the comments. But
Definitely
Come on next door, bro.
so Ernest is my man.
walk around the corner.
And so I just seen him say something that like marriage is a spiritual construct, a legal construct. And then I seen someone else comment that says marriage is not supposed to be built only on benefits. So one of my safest spaces is in my church home. So I never really post like what I do at church or whatever. But what I would say for me very specifically for Michael Aaron Saunders is that marriage is a spiritual construct. And so for me, if it doesn't benefit my spirit and it creates an attack space on my peace, I'm gonna have to deal with it a different way.
Is this what aids to you asking for a divorce? I only ask that. No, I only ask that because men don't ask for divorce, but you said you did.
Yeah, I did.
They do, just not at the rate of women.
Yeah.
Same way.
Let me ask this, Mike. So, you coming from a real spiritual place right now, and I appreciate that. Do you feel a pressure spiritually to be in a different type of relationship than you've been the past 15 years?
Man, absolutely, because those people that genuinely know me, and I can speak to you in that context, or that you know me, it literally boils down to two things for me. It's emotional maturity and it's spiritual maturity. They kind of go hand in hand. And what drives that, Jamal said it and D said it, like, who raised you? Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. I've had a couple of situations where I'm like, yo, I have like a questionnaire, and it's just kind of like, yo, if a woman says to me like they want a relationship, I got to pull out some questions on you, like
a checklist.
No, these are real questions. So it's kind of like if you're applying for like a master's program or some advanced program space, there's just things that you need to know about that person. You have to be vetted, and so because I'm in the public space, I have to deal with people's spirits. So I meet bad women all the time, but what's your spirit like? What's it like when I take my hat off and you take your wig off, kind of thing? Mm-hmm. So spirituality is just at the epicenter for me. All the other shit we can navigate. So if I don't have no bread, to Jamal's point, if I ain't got no bread, who the fuck is sending me to the doctor for my wrist? Or who's going to make sure that I got my prostate thing, calendar checkup? Sure. That is, I think somebody said it on here. If you're a public person, the construct of having the Obama marriage is really critical. And then in our generation, it's really critical.
So that's the pressure you feel.
Yeah, that's what I'm on. But then when I go to church, it's like that doesn't matter because my spirit is like free of that.
Well, earlier you said, and this was a private conversation, but I'm bringing it to public. Yeah. When you said you was a knock 'em down king.
No, not me. But yeah. No. If you were the knock 'em down king.
If you were the knock 'em down king. Spiritually, would that be an issue?
Well, it becomes, this is a different conversation, but if you are a guy that has the availability of women, and I'm speaking very specifically from a man perspective, that women peace sitting down, men peace standing up. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a knock 'em down space, you carry all those spiritual traits. Mm-hmm. So now it's like if you like a fucking Ghostbuster, you're going through the slime. Mm-hmm. Now how do you get clean? So if and I'm gonna use myself as an example. Let's say I'm that guy. I've got certain cats I can call to kind of clean my spirit, and then I've got certain cats that will correct my spirit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cleaning your spirit is you washing the car, and I mean, it's literally checking my spirit. Is like, man, we gotta like redo your motor, give you a tune. Right. And most black men, we don't seek that because, especially in my age group, we're in a different space. We're like a fuck it or flee kind of space. Yeah. So for me, it's just really simple. My spirit animal says you have to be about nurturing my peace. I'll go out and get the bread, but you got to nurture my peace. If you don't nurture my peace, I'm just not fucking with it.
Because baby girl ain't gonna say, you are?
I'm just gonna add one little piece. I think to add context to what the men are saying. I agree. I do think the pressure is more on women. And all of you have said is because we want it. And the reason that we want it is because society tells us our value lies in that marriage. Right?
What is that? No.
What do you mean?
What is that?
What do you mean?
Let her finish, though.
What is that?
We're not valuable unless you guys see us as valuable. So I think that's the thing.
That's the marriage.
The context that
it's the
that,
Kevin Samuel.
Yeah, you have
to
women
be
control
said to
sex and men control the
what-
construct of relationship. In theory, just
I mean, if he said that, then I would agree with that. Like our value, or we're taught our value lies in you wanting us,
and us valuing you.
Right. In what capacity do you value us? Do you value us just to fuck? Do you value us as a girlfriend? Do you value us as a wife?
Oh, yes, it's
our
the car
value
booty
lives
conversation.
in that space. So I agree but that is the crux of why women feel more pressure, because we have to feel valued.
You said the crux?
The crux, yes.
I
I realized I went to Bowen, but I do know some big words.
That's a little that's only 4 letters. But it has a big statement.
But it's
a highly underutilized word.
I like the crux.
I'm not gonna disagree with you.
Thank you.
Hey, yo,
Per se,
MLB,
until right
I
now.
see you.
Hold on, I want to ask you this though.
All right.
As the
I am the one that has not. I am.
Yeah. Do you feel pressured?
No.
Okay.
But let me caveat.
Elaborate.
Let me caveat this real quick.
Yes, Dennis is a big word, hater.
And this is why.
Dennis, you should be over here right now. Stop.
Focus, we at your crib as soon as we anyway, look.
He said it's
This
not a
is
big
why
word.
this is why Foster loves me on his demo. Cause I don't
That's not why. It's because you're drunk.
Because he knows I'm not gonna hold no bars.
Facts.
And you're drunk.
Call it what you want.
Just don't call it collect.
Love it. Me personally, this is all BS. This is all how one may feel. Other than men don't actually go through this, because the ones that actually don't care and talk about and get whatever they don't think about the shit. This goofy ass shit. They don't care about that shit.
I agree.
No. Work with me.
I agree with you.
Ma'am, look at me. Work with me. Don't care about none of that shit. Ma'am, listen to me.
Nigga, you hit her with the man, bro.
Listen to me.
I'm with the shits. Come on,
Listen to
David.
me. I got 5 kids by 4 different women.
You've been busy.
And there's not one woman who has been like, well, you know what I'm saying? No.
I'm not sitting next to Jamie no more.
No,
Every time I that shit.
You said this to begin with, though. You asked this to begin with. Not saying in the sense of I would never ma'am, I tell you my story, makes a whole lot of sense. It actually does.
Hey, I just want to throw out here in the universe to break the ice. Javen has on a dare hat that he's been championing, and that's just, it's not
Since
going
1980.
Right. He clearly failed the classes.
Jamal, we reversing the meme out here, bro.
I got meat.
Throwing it out there like
I got meaty pieces for pizza Hut.
He is
just to
completely.
break the ice. He got the dare hat on.
So, Jamie, what you're saying is you feel zero pressure to be married.
None. Why?
I'm just asking.
Watch
Tito
this,
said you
Ron.
need some
I'm
coffee,
about to
G.
flip it on you, though.
Tito G
As
said.
much as I say I have zero pressure, I would love to be married. You know why?
Desire
No.
and pressure are 2 different things. I'm just
No.
making sure.
You know why?
No clue.
I'm a military dude. I like structure. I like understanding. You give me straight out, this is what we do it, you know what I'm saying? Going forward, we throw maybe a little curveball fine. I'll make sure you're well on the understanding here. Ladies don't like that because ladies like movement.
You don't like structure?
Ladies like structure and movement.
Okay.
Movement being more higher than structure. I'm sorry, I
Whoa.
did do that.
Show over. What the fuck? I just got mad
I
at
didn't
nobody
do that. I
and
didn't do
your
that.
show's over.
Ladies, if they see the continual understanding, they will take that. The movement comes, they will love that, depending on if the movement works with what they're talking about. No lady wants to deal with the same shit over and over. They don't.
No, they don't. They
They
don't.
don't.
They don't.
They find a way
absolutely don't.
to make it seem as though, well, no, you're boring.
Stop pushing me. I can't.
Tony, why you
Christ. All right, hold on. So I'm gonna add, hey, last question, and then we're gonna have some final thoughts because we are running up on time, and I don't want to bring my married guys back in it. And this is God forbid anything happened to your wife. God forbid anything happened to your relationship. We're not wishing that. Obviously, we wish the absolute opposite. I hope you all to death do your part. But if something was to happen, if something was to happen in your relationship, or somebody was to die, or whatever, however you want to frame it, knowing what you know now in your marriage, and I'm pretty sure I know both your answers, would you do it again? Would you do it a second time around? And I'm gonna go start with D.
Somebody said I wish this was a Zoom.
Hey, but yeah, so I'm gonna basically say probably no. I'm not, because hey, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of damn effort. And I think my wife would probably echo the same damn thing, right? She was saying hell down too, right? It's a lot of damn work, right? So hey, I've been here, done that, and so yeah, I'll probably just be on cool. I'm just gonna chill out. That'd be me.
D, I'm not even gonna lie. You should
that's been married
You
twice.
should have saw the way the studio went up when you gave that answer, bro.
give me 1 second.
No, Jamal, what you got? What you think?
Hell motherfucking no. I've been ruined, man. So if something happens between Shayla and I'm no good for no one else. It just ain't gonna work. I know that right away. I think I'd have some good friends. I'd create a circle, a village, for lack of a better term. But nah, man, nah. This is a one-shot deal. I think we met at the perfect time. We were both young, coming straight out of college, and we grew together like a tree, right? Our roots and everything. We became one. And I won't put that much time into someone else as much as I would care for them and want for them. I'll be a great, good friend to some people, but I'll never be another husband to anyone else. This is it.
All right, good. All right, I hear y'all. Hey, Javen, and listen, but the studio went up both times you guys answered that question. But Javen has a question. Javen, make it quick. I'm gonna let you have it.
Doubtful.
Make it quick.
Jamal.
That ain't quick, motherfucker. You're done. You're done. Mike, I ain't say I was shit. I said make it quick.
Yes.
Mike, you've been here. Would you do it again? It sounds like
a yes.
Previously from your previous questions.
Hey, no, we gonna talk, bro.
Javen, sit your ass down. Mike.
Okay, the question is, would I get married again?
Would you do it again?
Okay, so shout out to Moore's. Yes, I would, because I've been drinking. No, seriously.
Moore's Brewery, love them.
Yeah, black-owned Chicago people. I would do it based on what I know about myself and what's missing, and I would do it based on what I know my children lost. So it's almost like it's kind of like a combination of reciprocity, like kind of paying back kind of thing. And then the other part of it, I just had this conversation today with my therapist, and my therapist he's a super dope dual PhD guy, and he said something that shook me up. And he's younger than me, so he looks up to me. So we have this cool ass brother relationship, big brother, little brother. But man, he said to me, he just had a baby. Baby's like 6 months old. He just started a new job. He left a real thriving practice, and he said to me today that there are just certain things that he's just not comfortable talking to his wife about just yet. And he has to talk to his aunt. He's under 40, so he's still navigating being raised by women in his home. And so the marriage confine or construct and the dad construct and all those things are pressure for him. And his wife is going through a hint of postpartum, but because he's a PhD, he can't address it from a clinical perspective.
He's gonna go straight logical. What he had already said.
No, because he needs to support her.
He needs to move away from that.
Well, no, like so. Brian knows my struggle in the space because he has a wife who's a pediatrician. Blah blah blah, and so there's a sweet space that's really dark for Black women in the whole postpartum space. So as a man, when I hear this guy who's walking me through my struggles, he's like, man, how do I deal with this? Because you're a dad and a granddad. And so
Interesting.
it's like if I had a wife who's been with me, like I could give him to Jamal and it's like, man, this is how you navigate that.
And you were to do that.
Yeah, I would just connect them via phone.
Yeah.
But that's missing.
Yeah.
So I was him at 30, you know, and we had Mr. Perry.
Look
So
at that. You was him at 30, and you are at 53 now.
But I sacrificed two things. I sacrificed my blessings in a marriage space, number one. And then number two, I sacrificed my kids. And they're interchangeable. It's like 1A, 1B. She knew me before my son was born. So I'm being very sincere. So the thing about it is I would get married again because I have all the information. And here's the most important thing. At 30, I was operating as a man by myself. So I didn't know you at that time. I knew Mr. Perry, but I didn't know the value of Mr. Perry. I had my uncle who was never married.
Yeah.
So when
Mr. Perry is my stepfather, by the way, because just for reference. I mean, he said it a couple times. I don't want people to be lost. Go ahead.
And my uncle, what shook me about my fatherhood space was my uncle, who is like, he is essentially like Jesus Christ to me as a black man. He was like, man, you're a better dad than I would ever be. And it's that Mr. Perry shit. You know what I'm saying? So I would absolutely get married again, but it's just, I have a saying, you got to do the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I didn't have any men in my life
Jake,
in
Did you put that
Chicago
comment from Sheila up?
that was doing the work. I had people in Kansas City, but not here. Yeah.
You ready to do the work now?
Oh no, I'm cool. I'm gonna fuck with this new riff. Jamal, what'd you say?
Can we just shout out Sheila?
We here
That
for
is,
it.
I love that comment.
Boo.
Be willing to be vulnerable in order to be poured into.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
No, but so
you do that?
so Javen, hold on. That's
Not about me.
So when I date, I have the conversation like, are you prepared for the level of vulnerability?
Right.
And so because I it's not that I know what I bring to the table, I just know what the walk is.
Yeah.
And so when you get the hesitation, you just like, all right, I'm cool.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Vulnerability matters.
Does that?
There's no progress without vulnerability. If you're not willing
Yeah.
to open yourself up and allow them in your space, and that's scary to do.
Not even that though, B False. Like, you older than me, he's older than both of us, and I've always said that you two in a certain space. For him to say that and you to almost say, yeah, for the most sense, you know what I'm saying? But I don't want to move no way. That kind of seems as though that he's seen, as far as I'm concerned, more substantial relationships than me, including you. For you to second this or that or whatever, it's like,
But watch this. Let's flip it though.
unless you don't know either one of y'all, it don't make no sense. Do you understand what I'm saying? But
that's
if you
the
know
point.
both,
We
it's
only
like,
know what we know.
That part. So people operate from their level of understanding, to Brian's point. But here's what I'm going to say that's very critical for my journey, which I can pass on to you. There's
Would you stop?
there's a generational gap for black men, right? So when my dad died at 40, my dad died at 44, but I was 19. So now I'm trying to fill in the blanks. So I'm filling in the blanks from the military. I'm filling in the blanks from the Bloods. I'm filling in the blanks from chicks. And then, like, as Deion Sanders is my favorite quote, like, I've always been that guy. But now you got to come home by yourself. So when you come home by yourself, to Jamal's point, it's like, what do? Like, how do you go get your wrist fixed? But then to Dee's point, it's like, I got caught on the rocks with the yoga pants. Like, I love yoga pants with the little dimples in it, but it's like, what the fuck comes with that? So I have this conversation. I'm going to have the morning after conversation the day before.
no, I don't.
So you
I
know
don't
that
like
what you're walking
just said.
into.
No.
I like that. That's good.
Javen,
I don't like what you just said.
Hey, I'm not here for you to like me, though. That's the thing.
That's the point of the show.
Yeah, you get what I'm
But
saying?
I like that. That's
I like
good.
that. I like that.
Because when I see these guys that have got approximately 50 years of marriage, and then I leave my guys in Kansas City that's got lifelong marriages, I've got families and friends that are
And
in the
honestly,
20,
I feel
25
bad
years.
that in the sense what I'm about to say is exactly what I be trying to bark against when it comes to the ladies. Truly.
Come on, tell it real quick.
Unlikely.
I'm not looking for you to fix this or that or what. I've torn everything in the world.
You talking physically?
Physically.
Okay.
I'm listening to what he's saying.
Uh-huh.
In the end, I'm about to take care of this for myself. The lady feels as though the same way on the flip side with kids, and I'm gonna do this, and I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it,
Okay.
but I kind of get it. Put me on record for that.
Nick, you already on record. You ain't got to worry about
it's
it.
for here for posterity.
You already on
on
record.
YouTube.
You already on record. You on record.
Look at that.
You on record. So, gentlemen, we are coming up on time. We got about 5 minutes tops.
No, we out of here.
Yeah, so I do want to give everybody a minute, as we always do at the end of every show, to give me your final thoughts.
You sure?
Around, maybe not Jaden. To give me your final thoughts around this topic and what you want the audience to know your thoughts around. Look at say it, no.
No.
D, let me start with you, brother. What's your final thoughts and what you want the audience to walk away with?
Really, I think the overall goal is kind of what you guys kind of hinted at the end of this whole conversation about being vulnerable. I think it's like the root of all evil. So, I mean, in that sense, what I'm saying basically is if you're not vulnerable, then you can't really progress, because really marriage is a lot about having conversations, uncomfortable conversations, and then working through those. A lot of that comes through being vulnerable. I guess I'll lastly put this too is, and it's kind of almost a question to everybody is, like, did you see that when you grew up? So as a kid, did you see that? Did you see your parents together for 20, 30 years? Do you identify the same mistakes that they made that you see in your life? If that's true, then you need to check yourself, get some help, and then be vulnerable and recognize that. So to me, that's real talk, being real. That's my buck. So that's what I got to say.
Appreciate it. Jamal, what you got, brother?
Man, this is a tough piece right here because I truly believe in the sanctity of marriage, right? A little bit of background. My father died when I was 12. He had some drug issues and what have you. And even though him and my mother were all about it, right? They were going to stay together. It was old school marriage. You know what I'm saying? I'm a child of the 70s. It wasn't the best example. So much so it was the opposite of what I wanted. So it put me on a path of wanting to be married. I say all that to say this is that I knew from watching them that marriage was going to be a lot of hard work, right? So I was really intentional about who I was going to put in that work with, right? So once I found the person who I was going to put in the work with, because I truly believe that the essence of life is real simple. We are born, we procreate, and we die. Now, who we decide to procreate with is a big part of our life. And so I was real intentional about who I chose as my mate. And there was no failure. Failure was not an option. Even if she turned out to be the foulest, she was going to get 18 years from me. I told her that. And every time I had a baby with her, I was like, I'm re-upping for another 18. And now that I've had 3 and my oldest is 25, it's like, look, I can't do this thing without you. You hear about people dying of a broken heart and what have you. If something was to happen to my ace, man, I wouldn't even be this guy anymore. I won't be this guy anymore. I'm going to be a shell of who I was. And it would take a very special person to take me out of that funk that I know I would be in. And hopefully I'm putting the heebie-jeebies on her so she'd feel the same way once I disappear, that, you know, it's going to hurt a little bit. I'm not saying that I wouldn't want her to be married or whatever, but our love has been that strong. And when it comes to this thing called love, right, we were very again, intentional about how we defined it. Too many people, it irks me throughout the word love, and they don't have a definition. And she and I, we really came together to come to an understanding. Well, what is this thing that we're calling marriage and love? And for me, we defined it as an offshoot of commitment. We were going to spend a certain amount of time, patience, and effort to make sure that we are okay, that we are okay. And that's not to say, you know, y'all know me as a troll on here. I troll her too. I don't win with her, right? I don't win any arguments at home, but I pick fights. I'm a fighter. I love arguments. I love critically assessing an idea. I love deep thoughts. I love reading. and she's my perfect partner. She's the one who could carry my weight. And even more so, she's not petty like me. She'll forgive me in a second. So that's a long way of going to say that I hope that everyone could have that in their life. I don't believe in soulmates. There's over 7 billion people on this planet, 345 million in America alone. If you were 1 in a million, there'd be 1,000 just like you. So there's a bunch of people out there that can meet your needs, that could be your ace, could be your life partner. But man, I 100% believe you should be finding it. You don't. Life is an individual sport that's played best on a team. So yeah, you're gonna die alone. You were born alone, but during that in between time, you need to have an ace that keeps you solid. Shout outs.
That brother.
That is one of the few times Jamal has pontificated that I appreciated every word of his pontification.
In a sentence.
Hey, what happened? What happened?
Love that.
No, good shit, Jamal. I appreciate you, bro. This is why I have you on the show from time to time. Mike, final thoughts.
Man, it's really simple for me. My uncle has a saying. There's 2 sayings that he sends me pretty much every day. And the first one is, what you are looking for is looking for you. And I'm not trying to be like super philosophical, but what you are looking for is looking for you. So it's the karma shit. And then the other one is stay in your flow. So what's for you is for you. So to Jamal's point, he said we come in alone and we will die alone. There's only one space in that coffin. And so for me, I would just encourage the black women on this particular thread, and go tell your friends, spread it like roach powder. Tell Mike Saunders said it, man. If you have a man, if you have a guy that you're interested in, just listen to him. Erykah Badu the fuck out of him with your ears. And then the second part is that for black men, we have to find a comfort zone. And we have to teach our sons to find comfort zones in being vulnerable, because vulnerability is what leaches or creates this space that we're uncomfortable in, which allows us to grow. So it's the caterpillar butterfly effect. To be a butterfly, you have to be a caterpillar. So what you are looking for is looking for you, and be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Appreciate it.
Are you about to do it?
I got to. Javen.
You don't actually.
I do. Javen, you got Javen. Final thoughts. 1 minute, brother. Pull it together. Pull it together.
I think, in my final thoughts, that honestly, we all are fucked up. We are all fucked up on the understanding. No. I'm about to chop this up. I'm gonna chop it up in 30 seconds. We are all fucked up because we sit back and look and pay attention to somebody else's understanding over what we already know what understanding is. You know what I'm saying? No, how do you relate this to your own? No, stop it, and then make it a point. Make it an actual understanding. You know what I'm saying? Well, no, I'm going. What the fuck you mean?
15 seconds, nigga.
You ain't well, ma'am and marm. Men figure this goofy shit out a lot quicker on this understanding. I give y'all this, I give ladies this. On understanding that men may not have the whole understanding of what y'all, but what y'all not gonna do is a flat no. You know what? Go ahead, man.
Thank you, Javen. Appreciate those thoughts. Chantel?
What the fuck did he say?
Don't matter. What you got to say?
Okay. So here's what.
That's the clip. That's the clip.
It is absolutely in the clip. I'm catching this shit. It's
I'll
gonna
put
go on
that shit
Instagram
on TikTok
tomorrow.
Swear to God.
So here's what I have to say. I'm always no, absolutely not. So what I'm gonna say is I'm always impressed with the men on the show. I'm always impressed with the level of vulnerability and ability to speak openly about their lives. And this show is no different, except you, because you didn't share shit. So I will say thank you to each and every one of you guys, right? Because this could have been a very high level conversation about women and marriage, but everybody dug deep and really shared some inner inner, like looking at themselves and pushing that out. So thank you, Jamal. Thank you, Damien. Thank you, Mike. Sort of thank Javen over here for just being.
Javen had the best commentary of the night.
What the fuck you mean?
For being vulnerable.
I said what they wanted to say.
Because I realize how difficult it is to do that for men. I always can recognize when it's difficult to do that for men. Period. In y'all, by yourselves, in the library, in the toilet, it doesn't matter. It's difficult to be vulnerable, and I just always want to acknowledge men for the ability to shed that manly facade and actually present who they actually are. I'm always appreciative of that. And here come this motherfucker. What is
we can talk about this after the show. So I will say this. I will always echo Sean always on appreciating my guests and what they bring to the table. And this is why you get invited. Let me say this. Javen, chill for a second. Javen, chill. Well, I will say this. Lots of people hit me up and say they want to be on the show. Oh, there we go. Our producer's on it. We're good. There are lots of people that ask to be on this show, and I ask specific people to come on specific episodes to talk about specific things because I appreciate their perspective. So I always want my brothers and my sisters that join us to feel the love. Thank you, and I appreciate that. At the end of the day, nobody can tell you, can tell Mike, can tell Javen, can tell me what marriage means to them. You got to figure that shit out for yourself. I hope that you can take some of these nuggets that these gentlemen have shared today and incorporate them into your relationship and how you feel about the institution of marriage, be that spiritually, legally, however you want to find it. I really want everybody to take that pause, think about it, and really stop and think about what you really want out of your relationship. Do you really want to be married, or is that what somebody else told you that's what you really want to do? Do you really want to be in a relationship, or do you want to figure out what really means? Do you want to date around? Right? And that's fine. Do that.
Kick it.
You want to kick it? Do that. But be honest, not only with the people you're kicking it with, but with yourself.
Yes.
And as long as you're doing that, everything else will work out. And if you appreciate the institution of marriage and really love it, like most of these people in this room, I know they do, things will figure themselves out and you'll be good. Hey, appreciate you all for watching. Love you. We'll see you next week on the next episode of the Nils on Podcast. I don't even know what the hell we're talking about next week. We'll figure it out.
They heard Jay.
Well, don't matter.
That's a mic right there.
He has a mic. He knows. We'll see y'all in a minute. Peace.